This is where it began. This is where the fuse was lighted. A dusty corner in an old neighborhood of modest homes and new, low-priced apartments. It began with the arrest by white officers of the California Highway Patrol of two young Negroes.
I was born November 18th, 1966. I am the year of the horse. Yes. I'm the last of the children of the 60s. My parents, when they got married, which was very young, my mother got married the day after she turned 19 to my dad, who was like 23. He was like, 4 years older. And they bought their first home in Southfield, Michigan. And our neighbors were Italian. In fact, Naldo Bucci is my godfather. And then we had our best friends who were Jewish. So the whole street was actually Arabs, and I'm an Arabic Catholic. And which is so terrible, and I was so young at the time, but the colored people were moving in, and that's what they called them back then.
It was in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I was staying at my cousin's house, and my brother and I, we were walking to the park, and this he was really old. I had bumped into him because I was like trying to chase after my brother, and he said, "Get away from me, you little nigger." And so, and the thing is, it did affect me, but I didn't realize how much it affected me till I got older.
My mother explained to me, she said they would meet a lovely family that moved in, and everybody in the neighborhood was saying, "But you know what, they're really nice." And then the other people would say, "But we don't know about their relatives, and they're going to come over, and there's going to be all these colored people's relatives coming over." So my mom, I don't think my parents really raised, I think it was the time.
These good-willed innocents pray for peace. Some come out of conscience, some are simply curious.
It's beautiful how African Americans have risen to the platter, become president, and got out of that, because it was really bad. People would look down on them, but they go, "But that person's nice, but we don't know." And even my mom was saying that, how much it's changed, how much
their personality was secondary to the color of their skin.
Yeah, and now personality is prevailing.
I lived in a party house off campus, and we were directly across the street from the black fraternity house, the black frat. It wasn't an official fraternity, but that's what everyone called it. It was like very high-ranking scholars in the black community at USC, just straight A students, and people who were involved politically on campus, just awesome kids that lived across from us. And our house would have parties all the time and never really get in trouble. DPS was the campus police. They would come sometimes and tell us keep it down, kids. But the house across the street, anytime they had a party, the police would be involved. They would get in much greater trouble than we would with the university. And it started escalating as the year progressed, to the point that one night we both had parties on the same night, and theirs was registered and had a security guard, and people were checking IDs at their door. So it was all safe on their end. And our end was totally ruckus, there were bands playing, everyone was underage drinking, it was wild. And the cops showed up and shut down their party with, I think it was from what I saw, 100 cop cars. There were helicopters, there were a phalanx of riot police moving kids down the street. I remember walking out into the street and seeing just floods of cops, and the lights flashing and kids screaming, and I went up to a police officer and I was like, "What is going on? I'm at this house, what happened?" We assumed someone had gotten shot, and the cop just said, "Go back inside, you guys can go back inside." So he was saying our house, the white people, could just continue, and while black kids were getting thrown on the ground and tased and arrested,
it sucks. I'll be honest, because when you're trained as an law enforcement officer, you go to the academy for 6 months. When you go for those 6 months, you're trained, and I'm not going to sit here and say you're brainwashed, but in a sense, you're put in situations where you got to make quick decisions. And sometimes people let the badge weigh more than them. They forget that police came from the people, didn't come from just a piece of metal and this is what it is. It's all an oath. It's something that people trust you with. My belief on that is, the people that, or say the officers that happen to make those wrong actions, they should be held accountable, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's a powerful position to be in, but we chose that.
Everything is so negative right now. I feel like everywhere, not just America, most everywhere, and there's no. It doesn't feel like there's a future or a way out of it.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm necessarily being fair, because I feel like maybe the world's always been kind of Looney Tunes, but because of social media and news can pass with the click of a mouse, I feel like now we just kind of know more about it, and I feel like it's caused people to kind of be more inflammatory to get their 15 seconds of fame, 15 minutes of fame. But gosh, it's hard when the leader of the free world is so inflammatory. It's really, really hard.
Well, what I remember in the 60s, okay, because I was born November 66, so really by 1970 I was 3.5 years old.
Right.
I do remember peace signs. Like giving the peace sign, and remember the symbol, and we would go to the carnival, and that was the prize you won, was a peace sign. But I didn't realize that was really about the whole Vietnam War. It was just a cool symbol.
Yeah.
And my sister and I would when we sat in the back seat, we would give peace signs to people driving by. That's what we did for all those long car rides, and we were probably driving by the Detroit riots going, peace! And the cool thing is you would go peace, and people would go peace back.
I feel like every day there's something new that's just another bad thing to add on to all of the bad things. So there's no color right now. I feel like there's no vibrancy, there's no fun. It's North Korea is declaring war. Trump is being racist again. Trump is ignoring Puerto Rico. Trump is building a wall, to block us off from Mexico. Everything is bad news, bad news, bad news, bad news.
You constantly hear all the time that we are going to be our own demise. And why? Because there's hate, there's war. And if there's one thing that could definitely put an end to that, or at least slow it down, is definitely hope. Hope that there's always something better to do. Hope that there's always a way to stop war. Hope that there's always a way to end racial profiling, the institution of racism, just the institution of hate.
Hope is a promise of a better tomorrow. That's what it is.